have to have that strong sense of self-belief, whatever you do. You worked, you did your best, and you tried to go for the best. But you are fighting with bare hands, and you are out there trying to conquer the world with bare hands. Tomorrow the sun will come. For sure and certain the sun will come. Forget about what's happened. Look for what's going to happen tomorrow, and it's going to be a bright day. It's a huge story, it's a big story, but it's a real story. We are, in the end of the day, creating a society which is part of Australia, a society that will have to be seen as a true, genuine society which has increased human capital. We have created something that has placed a lot of importance on education and health. The value added to a society that was socially and economically very depressed.
Well, I'm never satisfied with those who know me. I've always wanted to see more and more happen. A lot of people have asked me how long will it take, and I said it's an endless story. We all have a role to play. It is not single-handed. It's got to be with all hands have to clap to create that thunderous applause.
We come from a very, very simple family, very humble, very basic, basically very poor. I was born when the war was declared, and I was born in a very small village. We had no running water, there was no electricity. My dad was one of the 2 or 3 who could speak very good English. And Dad was a person who believed very strongly in education. Number 1 priority, educate my children. The Japanese found out that Dad was an informant. They came to the house in a jeep, and then they took hold of my dad, whacked him with the rifle butt, put him in the jeep and took him away as a prisoner. He was very, very lucky why they didn't shoot him dead. And he went to prison with about 142 others, and he was one of the 2 that came out alive. Well, it was extremely hard. You know, you are talking about a country that is in a state of war. You are talking about no job. Dad in prison. Mom had, including me, 7 children, all under the age of 13. But Mom was a very strong woman, very, very strong woman, and she had the strong determination she was going to get Dad out of prison. In reflection, I think this is one of the best things that's happened to me, because it was all a case of survival. Survival from very, very early days. From the age of about 2 or 3, you just had to get up in the morning and have to survive.
Poverty, poor socio-economic background, and the fact that a burning desire gave him the opportunity to become successful. His social circumstances and background financially didn't matter to him. He was able to break all those barriers which was put in front of him.
Dad had always contributed to whatever I have been or what I am. So has Mom. Mom is a very, very strong person. You have to have that strong sense of self-belief, whatever you do. For anybody to be successful, they must have a burning desire. That is one of the core things that a person must have. They must have a desire to achieve something. And you find that from all the great people, they have that burning desire.
Very few people in the world would have set out such a grand vision and said, I'm actually going to do this and follow it through. Most people would just say, it's too hard. When people say, look, you're crazy or your ideas are crazy, what they're really saying is, I couldn't possibly see a way to achieve that. There are always things that say, well, you can't do that, or people that tell you that's just not possible. Well, for Maha, as a person, everything's possible. Everything can be done. It's just a matter of time, will, effort, and people.
From the day I met Maha, we sort of became very good friends, and I think what united us is our shared vision to do what's right for the community, our shared vision in regards to cities and creating cities that are people friendly and not relying on cars. And Ma's vision for Springfield is just absolutely amazing.
He's a very powerful sort of person. He reaches a lot of people on different levels. People like the sense of enthusiasm that he, it seeps from every pore of his skin, and I think that part of it, that's contagious.
Vision that he has been a very infectious idea that he had that has managed to capture the hearts and minds of many people who have then come here and helped us build this Greater Springfield area.
He is a very magnetic sort of a person. I said I've learned a lot from him, and I love him like a brother. I mean, it's one of those sort of relationships that we're always going to be great mates, and he's always treated me with enormous respect and affection. He and I have not seen eye to eye on things. I think Maha would admit that he can sometimes get a bit frustrated with the lack of activity in some areas, and he's got a short wick when it suits him. The beauty of our relationship is that we complement each other.
So we came to Brisbane, we had to fight. Bob was a very great man. I think Bob is a great man for having joined the bloke. His only salary was promise you will be a future millionaire, nothing else. The man had nothing to give him.
I arrived at his offices one day. It was a hot day. I was dressed in my suit. I found him to be a very engaging sort of a person. He had a very wicked sort of a smile, and I immediately liked him. He just has that magnetic quality about him, and as much as I didn't know that at the time he was probably in a bit of financial distress.
And I said to Bob, I can't offer you any money. I can't offer you any money. I am a negative millionaire. And he said, what's a negative millionaire? I said, a negative millionaire is a fellow who owns millions. Then he's worth it. But I will make it.
It is an unbelievable story that people that really had next to no money could find a parcel of land and build a project like this. It just shows the power of the human spirit, and it is very much one of these against the odds success stories. There's no question about that.
We saw this land had great potential. 7,600 acres outside a major capital city, whether it is Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne or Sydney, you won't get it. We said, let others say what they like, but you won't get a piece of real estate like this, so close to a major capital city. We took it on. Yes, it was desolate. Yes, they thought we were mad, but I compare this piece of real estate to what we do when we, who are not sculptors, who look at a rock. We look at a large, massive rock. Those of us who are not sculptors, we see a big rock. What does our friend sculptor does? He looks at that rock, and he sees a very beautiful face. That face is hiding in that rock. But he's a sculptor. He brings it out. And those of us who saw it as a rock say, that's pretty. That's amazing. But that face was there, man. It's always been there. But it took a sculptor to bring it out, a good sculptor. So we saw this land. It was calling out to us, bring me out as a city, as we saw it. Bring me, I am a city.
The hardship that Ma had to go through, when you create a vision, it's not easy. He was able to stick there during the hard times, when the banks were giving a hard time, when the government were giving you a hard time, when everybody was giving you a hard time and saying you're crazy. Even his own wife, I think at some stage, was looking at him with suspicion. But he kept going, he fulfilled his vision, and that's what I appreciate about Maha, is his determination to make a difference for the community.
Communities are not about buildings. It's about the community. It's about the people who make up the community. Springfield has a fantastic community. I think the fact that we've won so many awards, and particularly the international award, I think that tells you that we haven't done too badly.
The global arena is pretty simple. I mean, between Ipswich and Brisbane, the Western Corridor, it's a very multicultural, very global community. There are people there from all over the world, and when anyone is recognised internationally for their efforts at a local level, that transfers right through the community.
Fantastic as always.
Just coming here to Malaysia, being in Kuala Lumpur, I think is really important for me as the federal member for the region to be here to make that effort. The award that Maha's receiving individually, it's a big award, it's a really big recognition for what he's done, but more importantly, I think it's a recognition for the whole community.
Let us give a rousing welcome to Dr. Maha Singh.
And nothing in this world can stop you from doing whatever you want to do. Will you have obstacles? Of course you will have obstacles. Will you have people who say you can't do it? Of course, everyone will say you can't do it. You can be whatever you want to be.
In the end of the day, we are talking about uplifting society. That's what I am about. It's fundamentally very important that you do not see the other person any different to you, whether he is of a different culture or creed or religion or whatever it is. We are that one. That oneness is very important. The more we can accept that, the less differences we will have and the less problems this world will have.
Intensity doesn't change. It's at the same level all the time. Get up from bed and it's on. Because it hasn't happened easily. He hasn't had it easy.
My wife has been a strong inspiration for me. She has been a very strong supporter. To have put up with me for all this while, I won't want to say this to her, but to have put up with me all this while with a very busy schedule, and to have supported me, and to have made sure that what she has provided support to the family, that in terms of children, it has worked very well. So I'm really looking forward for it, and that's why I wanted them to be part of the show, because it is their show also. It's not two separate entities. It's not business on one side, family the other side. We are there together.
He's always told me you can't just work for money's sake. You've got to have something else driving you. When everyone else stops believing in you and then when everything else fails, it's your spirituality that's going to carry you through and finish the race. So Maha's really not interested and never really has been interested in all the fancy toys and luxuries that come across with an affluent lifestyle. Maha's the heart and soul of Springfield, and he's the heart and soul of Springfield Land Corporation. And his heart and soul is also the driver of the Sinnathamby Foundation.
The Sinnathamby Foundation, it's really something for us as a legacy, not only my father, not only for me, but our entire family, doing and giving to others who did not have those opportunities. My dad came from a place called Rantau, which essentially was a rubber tapping estate. It was a village, no running water, no electricity. These children have the opportunity to be great. Some of them, they just don't know it yet. And that's what the Sinnathamby Foundation is trying to do, reach out to these people to make sure that they understand that there are opportunities for them and that they should grab onto them and make something of themselves. We go to these children, we show them that there are opportunities for them to be great. They don't have to be city builders, they don't have to be architects, they don't have to be doctors. All they have to do is be great in their own way. And every one of us is entitled to that. Every one of us deserves to be happy and successful.
The family unit we had as my early family unit, that's mom and dad and 8 children, that was very, very strong. And it was one that we always believed that together we can rock the world. not, but rock in the right direction. And that was implanted to us very strongly. And that is the same core values that I have explained to my children. Always look for the positive side of life. Never, never, never think of anything negative. Don't ever think of anything negative. Don't mix with anybody who's negative. Walk away from them, because that pollutes your mind. You get rid of it and don't get mixed up with anything that's polluting you. Get out of an atmosphere that is that's negative. Surround yourself with successful people.
You know, I think in life you never really know who your friends are until you're in the dumps. You never know how strong your partners are until you put them under pressure. And I can assure you, Maha and I have been, you know, in the worst possible circumstances. But, you know, we've always been very loyal and true to each other, and that's obviously ultimately what gets you through those things. It's a life's work. So, you know, every part of this project we take an interest in.
How we've become involved in the company is because it enables us to be, you know, part of his dream and his vision, but also just be with him all the time. What I remember is obviously the more personal relationship that we have at home, but even that for some part involved us on the weekends going to sites in the back of the car, visiting sites, because that's what he would do. We just didn't know any different. We didn't know that other dads weren't like that, so we just went along for the ride. Certainly every step of the way he's included the family, and everyone works very hard. It's not the clock off at 5 o'clock. That's not the way a city is built. You just work whatever hours you need to get the job done, and you do it because you love it. You do it because you know you're making a difference, and because you're creating something very unique. And if you didn't love it, you wouldn't do it.
Well, there's no question that, you know, you love what you're doing. I mean, I love what I'm doing. I'm 7 days a week, virtually all my working hours. You know, while I'm awake, I do think of it. You can't do a project of this size without passion and dedication and commitment. That is the fuel that is driving this project. There is a total dedication and passion to achieve something and to do it correctly.
Your mind is your most valuable asset. So it doesn't matter where you originate from. You've got to have that high level of thinking that you are whatever you want to be. I'm proud that I have come from very humble origins and in difficult backgrounds, because it teaches you how to fight life's battle. Best weapon you can have to fight the battle of life is education.
I think for Maha, coming from his background and of very modest means, I think that there was one thing that was quite important to his family, and that was education and the value of education.
The whole face of Australia, which I call Australia as a changing, beautiful face. It's a very beautiful face that we are experiencing, the Australia of today. Very attractive face with a lot of contribution from everybody from around the world. That is what Springfield is. But above all, it's a very cohesive society. It's a society that has been created by a certain amount of message, the message of education. It's the education that is the primary driver of individuals wanting to call Springfield their home. And that is one value that we place a lot of importance. The soul of Springfield is education.
And from his father's point of view, he thought he could make a difference to all his children if they were well educated, and he really did everything in his power to make sure that he could give that to his children.
For a chap who has been in prison with no food, nothing else, the first thing he would want is home comfort and to come with and be with a family. Well, he wandered around the town where the jail was and looked for all the schools. He registered all the children in the schools, and then after 2 days returned to the village where we were. It's very hard, I can't believe it. I mean, that's how much of emphasis he had on education. And fundamentally, that was the very core of one of his beliefs. And he did help a lot of people to be educated. Dad sent us to university, to Australia. He didn't have any money, but somehow he might have scraped a bit of money here and there. Went to university. University life was very exciting. They struggled and struggled to put you through university. So when I failed, I had a sense that I had disappointed. I had let down somebody who had given so much of their lives and their life's earnings to put you through. I had to write to my dad and say, Dad, I'm very sorry I let you down. I'm really sorry. I've failed, I've let you down. And I thought he would reply me back and saying, well, you know, you really have let me down. But those days, the letter took 7 days to get there and 7 days to get back. And I was very surprised. Dad wrote back to me a letter, which I'll never forget. He said, son, if you have done your best and you have failed, so be it. But can I tell you one thing? The darkest night brings the brightest dawn. So at the moment in your life, it's the darkest night. But tomorrow the sun will shine. Just think of it and keep going. And that is a saying that I've always kept saying to myself, because I've had many, many, many dark nights in my life. Say, tomorrow the sun will come. For sure and certain the sun will come. And something that we have to tell to our children and to everybody else, that tomorrow will be a better day.
So I guess Maha had this vision, and from that day that he drove us around and was showing us this is going to be the city, when it was clearly very, very far from that. But he had this vision, and I think what's been his strength is that he's managed to sell that vision to a number of parties, whether that's a university, whether that's government, whether that's the 21,000 residents that are here. It's been something that he's managed to bottle up and sell as a vision that he has for this area, and for others to come on board to help make that vision come to life. And I think if you really do understand what this project can deliver and what the seeds that are being put in place to make it happen, then you can really see a unique opportunity to do something different, to be able to do it with a heart and to understand that we've got a bigger dream than just building houses.
It's rewarding now. People do say nice things about the project, and you know, the government and others say this, you know, this is best practice. You know, we will have one day, you know, a city skyline, and it'll be very satisfying once you see, you know, multi-storey buildings with major corporate companies, you know, where their head offices are located in Springfield.
The way I see it is it's a really big vision, and big means lots of different things to lots of different people. For me, big is not just about numbers and size, it's about the vision. How big is the vision? What are you trying to achieve? How different are you trying to be? And there's no question that Springfield, Greater Springfield, is different. It is big. It's big in ideas, it's big in the sorts of people that it attracts, it's big in the way that it presents itself to the outside world.
You know, our big challenge now is that we'd like to finish the Springfield project in our lifetime. And I know for Maha that's something which has become, you know, a very important goal. You know, he's a little bit older than me, and so therefore he probably feels as though he's got less time to see the project through than I have. But I keep reminding him that only the good die young, so he's got plenty of time to go.
What people got to understand, no matter where you live in Queensland or Australia, it's your home. No one should say my home is better than your home. But what Maha's doing is making sure the people who live in our area, in Ipswich and Springfield, their home is something that's going to help their family and their children get to full potential. And that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, my four children are highly motivated. They have their own aspirations. Some may wish to pursue different lines, but I've always said to them, find your happiness in what you do. Whatever you are happy, whatever you are enjoying it, do that. And because that is where you find your peace, that's where you find your enjoyment, that's where you find your happiness. Do whatever you want to do. But know that in whatever you want to do, there will be hurdles. And you've got to ride over it or walk over it. You've got to get to the other side. Be persistent. Don't give up. Don't ever give up.